Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharetz, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boacham leShalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Ni LeShalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem leShalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The service continues on page 11 with Lechun Eranina. Our service continues with the song sheet for Shiru Ladonai. Shir Chadash. his saving hand. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz. We continue on, excuse me, page 23 with Le Chadodi. We're going to sing the first two and last two. The last two stanzas are on page 25. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zakor v'dibur echad, ishmiyanu el amichad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shimol tiferet b'litila. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat uvenecha, ki mekor habaracha, rosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh hatila. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Yahoznim uzmol tiprotzi, yetz Adonai taritzi, aliyadish ben parzi, v'nisim havnagila. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom ater pala, gam b'simcha u'botzola, toch emunei am zegula, boi chala. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela.
Come have a seat. If you will, please turn in your Siddur to page 26. Page 26. There's a very important message on page 26 that we Jews need to make a part of our lives. It's a message, it's a greeting of a deep, prayerful tone. The Sherman family just came a couple of hours ago out of the cemetery after burying their beloved wife and mother and sister. And there's an old tradition, it's probably 500 years old, maybe older, I don't know exactly, but I'm trying to figure out in my head, but strong guess 500 years. That when mourners come to the synagogue for the very first time after leaving the cemetery, they don't come into the synagogue right away. Probably because they probably don't feel like singing Lechadodi, because they literally just 3 hours ago were at the cemetery. So there is a recognition within the Siddur that we need to have our eyes open to our people. And we need to know who they are and where they are mentally and what they're experiencing. We need to understand who our people are in order to have the Siddur and the rest of our community functioning together. And when I put it in those terms, I realized how sensitive our Jewish traditional instrument is. And now I want to teach you a word. And some of you have heard this word before because I have said this on many occasions when it's been necessary. The word here on page 26, where it says, "May the divine comfort you along with all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem," is a word that you need to know. And the word is hamakom. And I'm belaboring the point because I want you to know this word, hamakom. One would think that we would say, "May God comfort you among all those who are mourning." But that's not the phrase. Because we know the word God, which is Adonai. We know Eloheinu, which means our God. We know Shaddai, which is symbolically on the mezuzah, which means guardian of the doorposts of the households of Israel. And neither Adonai nor Eloheinu nor Shaddai is used here in this phrase. The word that's used in this phrase is hamakom, which literally means the place. And to my knowledge, this is the only usage of the term hamakom, the place, in any Jewish context. It's the only time. When people walk into a synagogue for the very first time on a Friday night after having just been at a cemetery and they don't feel like singing the opening 2 or 3 songs. And I think what we're trying to say is, may the everywhere be as close to you as you need to have the everywhere be close to you. And that's why we don't use the fairly typical or the expected name of God. We reach outside of the ordinary because the reach outside the ordinary has to be felt. So we use a special name which teaches a special message that the every place is right here. So when you're feeling that you don't know where the heck you are, and you're at a loss, we reach into our minds and our hearts and we say, may the every place be close enough to support you. That's what I think we're trying to say with this special reference of hamakom. May the everywhere, hamakom yinachem otcha b'toch sha'ar v'lei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the every place, may the everywhere be close to you. May the everywhere, may the every place be close to you. May the everywhere, may the every place be close to you. May the everywhere, the every place be close to you. May the everywhere, the every place be close to you. And it's only after we say this unusual terminology with recognition of where our people are, may the everywhere, the every place be close to you. It's only after we do that that we're now ready to go on with the rest of the main service, which is the Borchu and the Shema. So in order to say Borchu and Shema and then the Amidah, we've got to be close to each other. In order to say the Borchu and the Shema and the Amidah, we have to be close to each other. In this context, in a context of sorrow and offering solace during a time of grief, but in a different framework would also be that in other circumstances, whatever they may be, we have to be close to each other before we can pray. And so now we rise and we turn to the Borchu, the official beginning of the evening service, on page 39B, on page 39B. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam v'ed. And as we're seated, the first bracha on the English side on page 39b, we say aloud. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space. You completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest and all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. Please take one and pass. Umariyam umevi laila, mavdil ben yom ben laila night tzvot shmo, el chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chalein olam voed, baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And we turn to page 40, but we're not going to be looking at page 40, except to appreciate the title of the English paragraph on the top of page 40. The second blessing before the Shema is called God's Love. And that's why we have a song sheet tonight. Yehuda's leading a modified guitar service. And in a moment, we'll be turning to the song sheet. And on the song sheet, which we just handed out, near the middle of the page, below the line of asterisks, we have Ahavas Olam, which is a contemporary and melodic rendition, you might say. So just summarizing, we were just on page 39 of the Borchu, which speaks of how we, as people, are to fit into time, day and night, the passage of time, sequence. And now on page 40, we have love. It's very deliberate that these two prayers come together to introduce the Shema, our main call for identity. First, we need to find our place in time, day, night. Second, we need to remind ourselves that love is essential for our humanity. And after we've put time together with love, we're ready for the Shema. So now, Ahavas Olam on the song sheet.
Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Lama Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Lama Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael Lama'ata. All the world sings to you. The world sings to you. All the world sings to you. The world sings to you.
V'yavatecha tesir mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema on page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam lavanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha, u'gishartam la'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. The last line of the Shema says, write these words about love on the mezuzahs, the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Every time you walk past your door, you're to remember that there is a bond of love between God and the people of Israel. Without a number, just think about how many times you walk past your door. That's what the Shema is all about. To remind us that we're connected to something much bigger than ourselves. A few moments of silence, perhaps a passage on 41 or 42 in the margins. Adonai Elohechem emet. On page 44 on the English side. Page 44 on the English side. Then Moses, Miriam, and the people Israel joyfully sang to you. U'malchuto b'ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam u'vnei Yisrael Lecha anu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam. Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, adorned in holiness, revered in praise, working wonders? Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tilot osei fele. Your children recognized your sovereignty as you split the sea before Moses. This is my God, they responded and said, Adonai will reign forever and ever. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. And so it is written, Adonai has rescued Jacob and redeemed him from the hand of those more powerful than he. Baruch atah Adonai, who redeemed the people Israel. And on page 45, we see the Hashkivenu, but here we'll turn now to the song sheet. And on the bottom of the song sheet, you see Hashkivenu, and Yehuda will lead us in the Hashkivenu in a moment. Hashkivenu is a prayer for all of us. And the hope, the sense within Hashkivenu is that every one of us will be able to rest well this night. And there's some whose hearts are very heavy, some whose hearts are broken. And they can't even begin to imagine, will they be able to sleep through the night with some sense of calm or ease. People within our own community, people across the world. So for you and me, and everyone else throughout the entire Jewish people, to say the Hashkivenu means that you and I collectively are prioritizing those people who are going to have trouble putting their heads on a pillow tonight. Other people are our priorities. That's why we sing the Hashkivenu. On the song sheet,
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Lechaim Shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Sometimes I lay under the moon, I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. For when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. And all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There be no more wars, our children will pay. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the water stayed raging. In this maze you can lose your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you. No way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. But when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. And all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There be no more wars, our children will pay. One day, one day, one day.
The last three lines on the English side of 45. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem and the world. The top of page 46, Vishamru.
Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam U'v'bnei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shmayim ve'et haaretz Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam U'vayom hashvi Shabbat v'inafash Shabbat v'inafash Shabbat v'inafash Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah b'mati protei b'chayechon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala u'v'zman kariv v'meru amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach L'olam L'yolmei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitman V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitale V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Brechu Leila Min Korachata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'amiran B'olma V'meru Amen. Before we rise this evening, if you look at page 47, which is the introduction to the Amida is the biggest prayer we've got. It's our direct phone call to God. We've been saying the exact same words 3 times a day for 1,900 years, plus or minus a decade. We're pretty sure we know this. We think it's composed in the year 130 CE. You really don't want me to go into detail, so I won't. But every morning, every afternoon, and every evening, we start off with the Amida. And the opening part originally introduced God as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and now in a modern understanding we say God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. These are our parents and grandparents and great-parents and great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. And the question comes to mind, why this phrasing? God of Abraham, comma, God of Sarah, comma, God of Isaac, God of Rebecca, comma, Rachel, comma, Leah, comma, Jacob. Why don't you say God of, and list the names? You'd save a lot of ink. And if you publish this thousands of, tens of thousands, you think about all the ink and all the paper we'd save. And perhaps the response is because every single one of those people understood God differently. He in his life, she in her life. And these are our ancestors. So tonight, during this silent prayer, a question for us to consider. What did we glean about God from our own ancestors, if anything? And maybe some did, and maybe some didn't. And so if you didn't, then what compelling lesson of humanity did we glean from our grandparents or parents, or maybe another generation before that, if you were so blessed to know great-grandparents? We rise, the silent prayer. The traditional text, page 47 to 52, or an opportunity to offer our own silent private prayer. The Amida is the main prayer. We have lots of prayers, but the Amida is the main prayer. It's the crux of every single service. The morning service, the afternoon service, the evening service. And there are different forms. Shabbos, days of the week, high holidays, Passover, different forms. But every Amida always ends with a prayer for peace. Always. World peace. And that's here on page 51. And Yehuda has a melody. And on page 51, you see on the English side, the little red ink, the transliteration of the phonetic below the seventh prayer, prayer for peace, the Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Ador Lechol HaShalom. Ki Ata Hu Melech Ador Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Tov Enecha Levarech Et Amcha Yisrael V'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amo Tosim Leolam. Tosim Leolam.
Mishkoach. Tuesday night, our Jewish history in Mobile changed. Tuesday night, Randy Sherman died. And if you pause and reflect on the past number of decades, you remember how instrumental during 15 to 20 years of our Shul history Randy was with teaching Sunday school, teaching Hebrew school, running the GAN, sister president, involved in every aspect, always with a smile. And when a friend dies suddenly, it brings us all up short. And I could share many memories, but I'm not going to. But I want to talk about one memory. Randy often spoke of her grandfather, whom she nicknamed Papa Honey when she was a little one. And the name caught on, according to Randy, and people who used to come to his meat market, his store, his shop, called him Papa Honey because his granddaughter named him Papa Honey. And she spoke with just adoration about her grandfather. And I'm thinking about what it means for a granddaughter to name a grandfather in such a way that people in the neighborhood take hold of that name, which is a cherished family name, but becomes more. And that sets the stage for how you and I shape our identities. It's a name, but the name is reflective of a relationship. So that's on my mind, and also because of another grandchildren episode. It's tomorrow's Torah reading. It's a grandfather with two grandsons. And the background is that old man Jacob has come down to Egypt. Joseph is the viceroy. Joseph has two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born. Jacob, having come down from Canaan to Egypt, becomes acquainted, after having missed out on years of life with his two grandsons, who were born far away. He's finally getting acquainted with them. And then years go by, and Jacob anticipates his death. He's going to be turning 147, so it's all right. And he wants to bless Joseph as he prepares for his death. And he summons Joseph to his bedside and says, "Bring your two boys." And Joseph brings Ephraim and Manasseh to his aged father's bedside. And you and I are familiar with the tradition that the elder son receives a certain blessing prior to and in primacy over a younger son. Menashe is older. Joseph positions his oldest son, Menashe, next to Jacob's right hand, symbolic of authority. And Ephraim by the left hand, because Ephraim is the younger kid. And Jacob was blind, or nearly blind, switches hands and puts his right hand on top of the younger and the left on top of the elder. And Joseph said, Dad, you got it wrong. No, I know what I'm doing, son. And then Jacob says a phrase that most of us know. Yisimcha Elohim ke Ephraim v'che Menashe. May God make you like Ephraim and Menashe. Have you heard those words? But you may not have known the context, because grandfather is blessing his son Joseph via blessing Joseph's own sons. But grandpa has an understanding of his grandsons that the father doesn't. Grandparents sometimes have a window into personalities and elements within the family life that parents may not. Grandparents can have a view that eludes parents. And I've always found that to be deeply compelling and meaningful and exciting because it fleshes out a depth of a relationship. Grandparents know something that parents don't. And so old man Jacob, who is, we would say, visually impaired, has a sense and a view that is greater than the visual operation of eyes. And he says, I know something about your sons that you don't. And so he puts the right hand, symbolic of authority, upon the younger and the left hand upon the older. And he says, may God make you like Ephraim and Menashe. But here's the wrinkle. Jacob is saying to Ephraim, may God make you like Ephraim. And he's saying to Menashe, may God make you like Menashe. And you and I, who are accustomed to saying these phrases because we grow up hearing this phrase, we've been hearing these phrases all of our lives, if we're familiar with the tradition of parents blessing children, might wonder, what does it mean for Jacob to bless Joseph by saying to Ephraim, may God make you like Ephraim? I think it means that Jacob, as a grandfather, is turning to his grandchildren and saying, may God be with you in every aspect of who you are. May God make you, Ephraim, to be the fullest Ephraim you can possibly be. And may God make you, Menashe. Yes, you're older, but Ephraim's got something about him. He's going to be just half a step ahead. But in spite of that, may God make you, Menashe, the fullest of Menashe that you ever can be. May you realize your entirety, your potential. And the kicker is that by grandpa's blessing grandsons, grandpa sees himself as blessing his own son. And if Joseph is tuned into this, Joseph sees that the blessing to his own sons is in part a blessing upon himself. So anytime you and I hear the term, may God make you like Ephraim and Menashe, we can remember that grandparents can, and hopefully Halavai do, play a pivotal role in the development of, I'll say this, spiritual identity of their grandchildren. And let's nurture that. Let's capitalize on that. What does it mean for us as members of a family to be participating in an experience where multiple generations can interact with one another for growth and fullness and blessing and support? there's a depth. And may we grow. And we all say, Amen. We rise for the Aleinu. The Aleinu is on page number 56, page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום ושבת אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. Ushema echad. Please remain standing now on page number 58. We have the Mourner's Kaddish. And some have not recently been in the synagogue, so just as a little bit of a reminder, when Hamas attacked us all, and they attacked us all, we brought the names of hostages into our synagogue, and these are the names. Many have been returned, but there are still many who are missing. And we had adopted a man, his name is Yotam Chaim. At the time he was 28, a musician from Kibbutz Kfar Aza, a village near Sderot. And he'd been in captivity for about 8 months, and unfortunately 8 weeks, and unfortunately he had managed to escape, but then the world went upside down. And I'm sure you know that about a week ago, there were 3 Israelis who were unintentionally killed by IDF, and he is one of those 3. And of course, when we adopted him about 9 weeks ago, he was in captivity, but I'm not ready to take this picture down yet. So many of us are saying Kaddish for immediate family, and some of us are saying Kaddish for our extended family. And within that framework, we also remember that our shul has a calendar, like many shuls. And the shul calendar remembers the following names at this season every year. Charles W. Grodsky, Gus Grodsky, Maya Rips, Fanny Linick, Janice Olinsky, Rosalie Weed, Edith Levy, Gussie Gay Cam, Leo Levinson, Rudolph Jacoby, Morris Simon, Jonathan Wesley Sutton, Carl David Schwartz, Charles Miller, Henry Bloom, Judy Ann Letterman, Yetta Levinson, Bert Silverstein, we remember Seymour Lichtenfeld, Ruth Berger, and our hearts are broken with the family over the loss of Randy Sherman. Are there any other names to mention this evening? Eloise Davis Wheeler. And perhaps those at home have a name to share as well. We're all standing together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, amen. Be'olma divara chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chaye chon u'v'yome chon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'zaman kariv v'imeru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mivarach la'olam ol'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitdaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudasha b'rich hu la'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru, amen. We are seated. May we all continue to bring shalom into the world. May we see our purpose in the world as bringing shalom. We'll conclude in a minute with the Adon Olam on page 211. The Adon Olam on page 211 in the Siddur. This is a melody some of us are familiar with, and some of us are not. It's a gentle melody, and I feel the need for some gentleness this evening. After the Adon Olam, we'll conclude the service. We have Kiddush and Amotzi here, and then we do have a chance to have a few minutes to visit with each other. We have a refreshment in the social hall, and we have some pictures of Randy. It's good to visit a little bit and to speak with the family and to learn a little bit about each and every one of us. So with that, we'll conclude with the Adon Olam on page 211, and it's sung by Mary Lovinger.
Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'eit nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol Thank you.
Good Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining in. We look forward to seeing you sometime soon in the building because we need your presence. We need you here. Until that point in time, may you be blessed. God loves you. We love you. You're very much an important part of our lives. Until we see each other